And we're live here with Kobo Writing Life. Thanks for everyone for joining us. As always, if you have any questions, please pop them into the chat and we'll get to them as we can go. I'm super excited to be able to chat to my colleagues about everything to do with Kobo Writing Life in Europe. So let's have a kind of a big welcome to everyone. Thanks you guys for joining. I'm going to go through and get you each to introduce yourself, and then maybe just tell yourselves and us your top tip for Kobo, your top tip for Kobo Writing Life authors. So we're seeing some hellos coming in the comments. Hi, Stefan and Appartement. So Lucia, why don't you start us off in Italy there? Would you like to introduce yourselves real quick? And what would your top tip be for Kobo Writing Life authors?
Sure. Thank you, Tara. And hello, everybody. I'm Lucia. I'm based in Italy. I'm the catalog manager for Kobo in Italy, and which means that I take care of both publishers and authors here. I've been working in digital publishing for 8 years until now, and I have always followed publishing houses and self-publishers as well. My top tip, if the Italian market is your radar, is for sure to start to make sure that you spend time and resources, which also means money, to make sure that you get a real good translation. And I'm saying this because we see that there are a lot of solutions out there that promise you to give you a quick and cheap translation, but quick and cheap are two words that don't fit well into this topic. And so I'd suggest that you really make sure that you work with a professional, someone who you can trust, so that you will get a really good result. And otherwise you will only get a bad translation that won't sell at all, and that will not give justice to your job as an author, and Italian readers maybe will remember that when they will see your name again. So yes, good translation is my top tip.
I think that is a great tip. Thank you for coming from Italy. And now I'm going to move to France. So Camille, would you like to kind of tell us a bit about yourself and what is your top tip?
Sure, thanks, Tara, and thanks for setting this with the EU team. That's a first, and it's very exciting. So I'm Camille, and I'm based in Paris, in France. This is my 8th year at Kobo, representing Kobo Writing Life in Europe. And when I arrived, I was all by myself in Europe. We had a team of great folks in Canada, having already strong ties with the North American authors. So I joined to do the same here in Europe, focusing with France first, obviously. And since then, a lot of stuff has passed, and I'm so lucky to have Lucia and Ruth now in Italy and the Netherlands, so I feel less alone. And I'm as excited as ever to keep working very closely with authors who publish on Kobo Writing Life, to tell them about how we work with our partners like Fnac in France, how we can support their books and their sales on the Kobo store, and try to enter in a long-term relation with them. And my top tip, I think I will go for the one that I always give. I shared it, I think, with Joanna Penn in the past on her podcast. It's think and publish global and price global, because in ebooks and of course also audiobooks, there is no boundaries. So we always tend to think about our first market, our local market first, but you have readers all over the world. And not everyone pays in euro or in USD. So at least, and of course, Kobo is a global retailer. We sell ebooks in 190 countries. So make sure that you are setting your ebooks and audiobooks price in the main currencies, which are, from my perspective, euro, Swiss franc, pound, British pound in Europe, and USD and Canadian dollars. Those would be my 5 currencies to optimize both for your regular prices and for your promo prices.
Awesome. I think that's a great tip and something that people overlook from time to time. So thank you, Cami. And then finally, in our European movement, I kind of feel like this is the Eurovision a little bit, which I'm not mad about at all. So coming up from the Netherlands, we've got Ruth. Would you like to introduce yourself and tell us your top tip for Kobo Writing Life author?
Sure. Thanks, Sarah. Hi, everyone. My name is Ruth, and I am based in Amsterdam, the Netherlands. I have not been at Kobo for as long as Camilla or Tara, for that matter. I just came on a year and a half ago. Very excited to work with Camilla on Kobo Writing Live Europe, and I specifically focus on Kobo Writing Live in the Netherlands, which is still very young, but there's a lot of growth potential here. I also focus on original content in the Netherlands, which is actually a really exciting combination of opportunities here. But focused on Kobo Writing Live, and especially focused on the Dutch market, my top tip for authors who publish in the Netherlands would be to opt their titles into our subscription, which is a massive success here. We'll probably talk a little bit more about that in this conversation. But if you think about self-publishing in the Netherlands through Kobo Writing Live, that should be high on your list.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm super excited to have all of you guys here with such a kind of really specific country knowledge that you have, whether it's like the indie community or just like what people are reading in each of your geos. So I think that's super exciting. So we're seeing lots of questions fly in. I'm going to share this one, Cami, because it's in French and I don't know what it says. Oh, you're muted if you'd like to unmute.
Sorry. So this question from Appartement Tanger is asking if the name, first name and last name that are in the account should be the name as the one which is in the IBAN and the bank details. And so actually, Tara, on that one, I have a doubt. We don't need, right? I mean, you can put the IBAN that from your bank account, but don't need necessarily to have the same name. It has to be the name of your bank account. If you are using your pen name, you don't have to put your real name, but it has to be the one that is on your bank listing. That is the proof, because you need to provide the bank listing.
Yeah. And if you have any trouble with that, you can email the team at writinglife@kobo.com. Okay, so one of the first questions we have here from Tessa Lane says, so what's the best way to market English language books in Europe? So let's talk about English a little bit first, and then we can talk about the translations and localized. So Lucia, do you have any sort of advice on marketing an English book in Italy? Or what sells there? What do you know?
With regard to what sells better, I must say that here, and I guess that's in your country as well, we see a great success for romance. And in Italy, romance is successful, especially when we look at indie publishing. But romance and thriller, of course, as always, but this doesn't mean that if you write in other genres, you should be not encouraged to publish your book in Italy, because actually in Italy we have been seeing an increasing interest in other genres as well. For example, kids books, comics too, and non-fiction. About several topics, also philosophy and history, politics, recent events, news, science, and so on. So For example, if you are a researcher or a professional in some field, I would suggest that you, of course, take care of the quality of your content and of your research and of your cover as well, and the metadata, because those are the keys always. And then I encourage you to try to sell your books here, because people are interested, actually, especially now, maybe for the times we are living, but people who want to know more are interested in non-fiction as well, for example, as I said. So yes.
Yeah, that's really interesting. That's good to know. Thank you for those insights. Ruth, I want to ask you, because the Netherlands sees a little bit differently in terms of language read, where a lot of English is read alongside Dutch. So do you think it's easier to market English books in the Netherlands than it would be potentially in other countries?
From my perspective, but Camille and Lucia must correct me if I'm wrong, but I do think that the Netherlands as a country is a little bit more North American focused or English focused than maybe South European countries are. We are very, we grow up and we have a lot of English television, we have a lot of English music here. So people in general tend to be pretty good in English. They're pretty well in talking English, but also reading English. So they're, I think, a little bit more open to reading, also digitally, because I think in general, as you see also in the popular genres, it's more like digitally. It's all about accessibility, and it has to be a bit. People like it in high volumes. It doesn't have to be that high literary. It's more like an entertainment. They want to escape. They want to have something nice to jump into. But then if it's a great English feel good or English romance, then I think you have a lot of great potential here in NL as well. I stick to my first top tip though. I think a great way to get that audience is also to opt it into our subscription, because that's where a lot of readers find their next best author. And if you fall into the popular genres, then you have a lot of opportunities to reach that audience, also in an English native, with an English native book, for sure.
Yeah, I think that's important to think about, especially in terms of like the subscription not being just for native language books or anything like that, especially what we're seeing in the Netherlands. So Camille, what about you now in France? France, speaking of feel good, we're seeing some success with a lot of feel good books in France at the moment. Is there tips for marketing English there, or is the market mostly focused on French?
I agree with what Ruth and Lucia said. I think that probably Dutch readers are more open to reading English books than the readers in French, in France and in Italy. But we do see some readers who, for example, the romance readers, who are huge fans of some big names, like from the US. And sometimes they are a bit impatient of seeing the book translated in French. So part of this readership will definitely look into the English language book, because if they are in the middle of especially for series, they sometimes you need to wait maybe several months before being able to jump into the next book in the series. So English books definitely for romance, I would say, here in France, can be marketed, especially when they come in series. And we see some romance authors from the US, for example, who would either set a cheap price for the first book in their series, or after a while, when all the books of the series are out and they're starting to gain back on the translation cost, they will put the first one for free. And they make sure to email us and to let us know, because we have that free page that we feature in each of our geo, and we know it's very much visited. So we make sure that whenever we know of an author who has a free book, we make sure that it can be listed on that page, so that it can be visible. And this proved quite successful. The most recent example, so this is what we would do. And also we have a the top best titles in English that is on the homepage, and that is updated regularly. So that's also a way for the English books to be visible. And one thing that I would like to stress that I noticed sometimes about the metadata, I've seen, for example, some French ebooks popping in this top of titles in English. So I would really recommend for authors to make sure that the language they set for their ebook is really the language of their of the content, just to make sure that whenever a reader is doing some research, the book will be visible in the relevant list.
That's a great tip. We sometimes see that the Kobo store has accidentally got a French book in the English section, and it's all down to your metadata. So yeah, metadata is really important. So it's really key to have the main language there. So I kind of want to ask you guys in general, because I think a lot of the people that are asking the questions here would be kind of quite familiar with independent publishing in terms of North America. But what are the differences you're seeing? Like, what's the state of independent publishing in Europe in general? Happy for any of you guys to answer that.
Who wants to go?
Right.
Ruth, Lucia, or?
I mean, I think we need to all answer it, because I think we're all in very different phases of indie publishing.
That's a great point as well, actually, is to not just think of Europe as one thing. That's my bad.
I think that's a very good tip.
Yeah.
Okay, Ruth, you go first.
Okay, well, I think out of the three of us, we might be the smallest. I mean, we are the smallest country, and I think we are maybe the youngest in, especially digital indie publishing. I think a lot of people here who think about publishing their own book have the tendency to think of that romantic image of having your own book, like physical book in your own hands, which I totally get. I totally get that romantic vibe. But as many of us know, digital publishing or digital self-publishing is opening this world of opportunities for you. And I think it's an amazing way to start even publishing a book that right now a lot of authors, I think, still have in their on their desk in the Netherlands. So I feel it's pretty unknown here. And that's also, I just started a year and a half ago. And I think for me, the biggest challenge here in NL is to raise awareness of digital self-publishing. And with Kobo and Kobo Plus being such a big success in the Netherlands, because it's a really good reading country. We really have a lot of really good readers here. So you can actually earn pretty good money here if you publish the right books. I think the biggest challenge is to raise awareness and to let people know that this is an opportunity. And I think that's also where it might be interesting for North American publishers, because there's still a big market here and a really good market here to reach. But from self-publishing here with Dutch authors, it's still pretty small, which means there's a lot of space for people from other countries. But of course, I'm very, very enthusiastic to get more Dutch writers as well to join our community. And I think that's really cool.
I'm sure that's...
Sorry.
Oh yeah, no, I was just gonna say, I'm sure that's why we're seeing some Dutch translations sort of doing so well is because there is that little gap in the market right now.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the people from other countries or English countries who translate their work are profiting from the fact that we have really good readers who really want to have lots of volumes of good books. But I really want to challenge the Dutch authors as well to go on and grab that competition with the North American authors. But so yeah, there's still really a lot of room to grow here, for sure.
Nice, thank you. And Lucia, you've got a long background with self-publishing in general. So can you tell us about like the state of the union in Italy?
Yeah, actually, I must say that the situation is very similar here to the one that Ruth just explained, because there is much room to improve here and to do more, because writers still think about publishing with a traditional publisher first. And digital self-publishing is not so well known. So the community is still small. And I see quite a difference between, for example, Italian self-publishers and North American authors when it comes to marketing strategies, for example. So here we see that writers still need to work more on both the part that comes before the moment when you publish your book and the part that comes after. Yeah, I think that we still need to work on quality and on knowledge of what we can do. And to understand that actually self-publishing is a great opportunity to have more control on what you write and how you want to write it, and to publish it and sell it and market it and so on. For me, self-publishing means more control and also more possibilities, because you can publish your book immediately if you want. You don't have to wait months or years to get noticed and to get a contract from a publisher that maybe won't be so careful towards your book and to let people know that your book exists.
Yeah, I think that's great. I'm going to keep with you just as a question came up there. So this is from Maria, that she is Italian and has 3 series, with the main character being Italian, mystery and romance. She publishes on Kobo and Kobo Plus. Should she translate these English books into Italian? Lucia, what do you think?
Well, yes, I think, yes, definitely. Yeah, I don't really see any reason to not do that, to not do it. So yes, my answer is yes, definitely. And once done that, reach out to me, because I'm interested in your series.
All right, Maria, you have to translate, and then you have to let us know when they're ready, and then we'll see what we can do.
A good translator, of course.
Yes, yeah, I think that's key. Okay, so Cami, do you want to tell us a little bit about the state of independent publishing in France, as kind of one of our bigger markets in Europe?
Yeah, sure. So I think what Lucia and Ruth said is true. We have this strong, I don't know if it's cultural and specific to Europe, but this romantic view and link with the print book remains. And probably one of the reasons of this difference between North America and Europe is that our countries are smaller than the North American continents, which means that, and we still have a decent number of booksellers spread everywhere around the country. So it's probably easier for a French reader to go to a bookseller and get a print book than it is probably when you are somewhere in the US and the closest place to buy a book might be 50 kilometers. So that explains why print is still. It remains important, but I always, before joining Kobo, I was working at the French Publishers Association, just when the ebook revolution started. And since that period, I've never been opposing ebook and print, because I really think that they are complementary, and that usually people who tended to read print and then got to ebook, they are just reading more than before. They are just increasing their reading time. And we have some surveys that prove that. But to get back to your question, I think that it's true that English language geos started into digital publishing and indie publishing earlier than here. But since 2015, we really see a growth. The market and here is really growing. It's been growing in France, and we've seen some even this increase speeding up since 2018. And what happened is that now we are in a state where when authors pick the route of indie publishing in full knowledge of what it is, what it implies, that of course they need to do it professionally and to make sure their book is completely edited, proofread, that the cover is designed professionally, that the metadata is clean and precise. So really they are addressing it as a professional. We've been having more and more authors doing this, sharing this on their blog and sharing this among the indie community, indie groups on Facebook. And all this because those books have been also some great successes as ebooks. I think that helped. That really helped this shift and this of about self-publishing. It's not well. It will probably, there is always a stigma that remains, but this has really this has really cleared a lot, and the numbers keep growing so much that we see authors getting into self-publishing every day, every week, especially this year, of course, because the pandemic has been shifting so many things around, and people have been looking into maybe dedicating more time to their writing. So we've definitely seen 2020 as being a year for France, where both in terms of authors wanting to write and to publish, we are now seeing France is now, our second most important geo for Kobo Writing Life. So that tells a lot. We are not yet on the same level as maybe Canada, but this year there has been a huge step ahead, and I think this is promising, and this is going to continue. But the market is not overcrowded yet, so it allows new people to come in also. So it's really the time to dive into self-publishing.
I think that's a great takeaway for anyone listening here, is that France is such a key market now, and kind of the second best market for Kobo in general. And what is funny, because this morning as a team, we were just looking over kind of like our 2020 review and like what sold best, and our top selling book was a French book. So that was really exciting to see. I wanted to ask some questions. So we're getting some questions in general about marketing. So I wanted to ask about marketing in general, and then also, as a lot of our books are romance, is there anything particular in subgenres that you're seeing as popular? So to lead into the marketing question, something I wanted to point out to anyone that's watching or listening is that one of the reasons that Kobo does so well in these countries that we're kind of talking to everyone in is that we have really strong partnerships. So Italy, we have partnerships with the booksellers Mondadori and La Feltrinelli. In the Netherlands, we have Bol.com, and in France, we have the partner Fnac, who is just a really strong partner. I mean, they all are, but I think Fnac is our oldest one. So I feel like with marketing, is that helpful, I guess? So let's talk about marketing in general. Is there anything that you're seeing that's different? And do people market to the partners versus Kobo, or how does that work? And Cami, I'm going to go back to you first.
So just as a first note, I've noticed that many French authors have been following people like Joanna Penn or Orna Ross or David Gaughran. So they've been learning a lot from those experts of self-publishing and following also those marketing tips. And therefore, what we see here, and this is true especially for our romance, French romance authors, is that the marketing strategy that their peers from North America have applies to them exactly. Using free to help discover your series, so the first read series, or even a very short story that we can put on our free book, on our free page on Kobo. There is also what I've been really trying to explain to others is that they should really reach out to us and tell us about their books, what they've been writing, what are their projects, what is going to be their next release. The more information they can fuel us with is the better it is with us. Right now we are building the 2021 calendar, so it's really the moment to contact us and to let us know about the books you are going to release next year, even just a rough idea, just for us to put that on our calendar. And the reason why it's that we have local merchandising teams who are really the experts curating the Kobo ebook store and audiobook store. They are curating a lot of those lists just to make sure that the books that are visible on the list and the pages are the ones that our readers are looking for. And so each of us, Ruth, Lucia, and me, we have very regular meetings with our merchandisers, and we pitch them the top titles that we see are coming, or the books that we really believe in, because we think they are made for our readership. So the more we know and the more in advance, the better we can make sure to share this information with our merchandisers. And this very tight and close relationship, both with the merchandisers and with our authors, is, I think, what's making the difference. At least in France, that's what I'm seeing. And I'll let Lucia and Ruth confirm if that's what they're seeing too on their end.
Yeah, and we had a comment from Brenda Hyatt saying that she's seeing great results with the French VIP sales and was curious if there would be more Italian ones. So that's sort of a good segue into Lucia to talk about promotions and marketing from an Italian standpoint.
Yeah, and what Camille said is true for Italy too. And I've been here at Kobo for a few months, and it's important, especially to me, that authors reach out to me to introduce themselves and let me know what they're working on, what their plans are for next year or next month, so that we can work together to make sure that their books will be known and will reach Italian readers. So yes, it's extremely important to me, and also because I'm the direct contact with the merchandiser in Italy and the team who manages the store, so that we can work together. This is the point.
Nice. And there's a couple of questions about how to contact you. So I just say, if you email writinglife@kobo.com, that will get us to whoever. We're a very small team.
Yeah.
We're all in there, and that will point you to Lucia.
Yeah, perfect. Exactly. Looking forward to receiving your emails.
Nice. And Ruth, are you seeing anything sort of different in the marketing for books in the Netherlands, or is it the same sort of experience?
Mostly the same. I think also for us, the strength is to be in direct contact with authors, to be, for us, in direct contact with our colleagues here who luckily have a lot of flexibility and a lot of enthusiasm to bring new books to our readers. So they're always thinking with us on ways to get great exposure, or adding titles to carousels, or to do promos with titles. I think the difference for the Netherlands in comparison to Italy and France is that I'm trying to do more promos based on a la carte, but because we are so subscription focused, and that's where we find the biggest revenue, you can't really work with promos because you can't really work with prices within subscription. So for that, we do more with visibility than with price dropping. But the upside is that certainly over the last year, we got more and more opportunities to give visibility to titles. We now have a dedicated Kobo Writing Live page on Kobo.com in the Netherlands, also in Italy and also in France, which is a great opportunity to give exposure to specifically Kobo Writing Live authors and their new titles. So I think that's awesome. But yeah, I think it's just most important that we know what's going on, and then we're always willing to also look for very specific solutions for your book, or the best place to place your book and to get the best exposure. And I think it's very exciting to see as well here in the Netherlands, where a lot of authors are still new to self-publishing. Some of them are getting the hang of really doing some professional marketing themselves as well, like putting some money on it and doing paid social campaigns on Facebook and just directing readers to their book on Kobo, or like you said, on our partner website, bol.com. And it's I think that's very exciting to see that they get the professional hang of things. And that is really paying off. I think that's a really good way to target a digital reading audience. And if you have the money, it doesn't even have to be that much money. I think you can really experiment with what the opportunities are in that area as well.
Yeah, there's probably opportunities to get a greater ROI in these countries that are not as competitive. So that's a really good point. And Ruth, I wanted to stay with you for a second there. So let's kind of think about subscriptions, or just kind of dive in. So we launched Kobo Plus, the subscription program in Canada, just this summer, but a lot of people might not have realized that this has existed for some time in the Netherlands. So can you talk about it a little bit? And we also had a question about whether or not KWL authors would be able to add their audiobooks there.
Sure. Yeah, we were the first country to launch the subscription a couple years back. I think it was 2016, but I'm not too sure. It was before I came on to Kobo, but I think we now are alive around 4 to 5 years. And it's very successful. Like you said, we have a really good partner here in the Netherlands, which is bol.com, which is the upside in the Dutch market is that we don't really have Amazon yet. So if you can say it like that, like bol.com right now is sort of the Amazon of the Netherlands, and it's our partner. So that's a really, really interesting partnership. And together with them, we launched Kobo Plus, and that came from a background where the Netherlands was experiencing a lot of piracy on ebooks, and a lot of conventional publishers it was giving them a headache. They were not earning anything on digital books. And that created a landscape in which we were able to launch this subscription and to show publishers, but also indie publishers, that you can earn money from digital books. You should earn money from digital books because it's maybe not as expensive as producing print books, but there's a lot of hard work going in there, and you need to get paid for it. And also to educate readers that digital books are that you should be paying for digital books. It's not something you just can get for free. Someone has worked really hard on making that story for you, so you should do your part. So subscription is really, I think, the perfect outcome of that, and it's created a super successful platform where we have a really good core of readers that never get enough of reading. At the volumes that they read, it's a crazy amount. And the fun thing about subscription as well is that it's not so much about the author name, it's much more about the genre. People know what kind of genres they like, and they just go looking for whoever wrote a book that is available in Kobo Plus that falls within that genre. And they're very open to discover new authors that way. The hard thing, of course, is that if they don't like it, they stop reading your book and your payment stops as well. So you have to deliver the content at the same time. So I think that's very interesting, because we just see that a lot of, I think, publishers authors that would have published maybe in print or outside of that digital community wouldn't have been as big as they are because of Kobo Plus. And that's a very exciting and interesting development to see. As for audio, yes, we started doing audio back in 2019. I think now we have it for a year and a half. I think I came on at the same time we started doing audio, also in Kobo Plus. So definitely that's an opportunity, but right now we do have to specifically give you access, I think, within the Kobo Writing Live dashboard to be able to. But if you're willing, you can always reach out to us, and we can always look at giving you the access to upload your audiobook. And please do, because I think it's a really exciting new format to reach a new audience with. So I'm very excited to help people push that format as well.
Absolutely. Those are great points. Yes, if you have audiobooks, let us know. You can publish these directly with Kobo Writing Life. And with Kobo Plus in Canada, Cami, you're seeing a lot of French titles being read there as well. How are you seeing that kind of affecting the Canadian readership?
So that's true. Quebec is the first. No, not the first, because we had also Kobo Plus when it was launched in Netherlands. It was also available in Belgium. But Quebec is, of course, a bigger market. And that's very interesting because we are little by little developing the Kobo Plus across more and more geos. And we are also building the catalog. That's also a call to authors to really look into this opportunity. Kobo Plus, it's not exclusive, and it's a way to just grow your readership. There are some readers who are they are attached to reading à la carte. Some others, on the other hand, are really reading and they like to read and have a subscription. So you are not opposing or losing one reader towards another. You can only gain more readers, and all of this directs more readers towards your ebook and your audiobook. So it's really worth giving a try. And when you are publishing your book, in the process, just make sure to check that Kobo Plus checkbox. Since we expanded in Quebec, now we can select if you want to be in Quebec, available in Quebec or in the Netherlands. So you can select the geos that you want to target. You can also select to be available in all those geos. Kobo is looking into adding more countries next year to develop Kobo Plus in more countries. And it's really when we are building the catalog for Kobo Plus, there is really, that's the moment where you want to be there and to be visible, because of course there is more space and more opportunity. And to get back to your question, Tara, in Quebec, we've really been pushing the gems of our French catalog there on our marketing material, in the newsletter, on the banners, all this towards Quebec readers. And we are seeing some titles by our French authors being very popular there. So I would really encourage authors to make sure that they are opting in their books there. And to jump on what Ruth was saying previously, it's the same for our audiobook catalog, because we launched only 2 years ago audiobook on Kobo here in France. And since last year, authors can publish direct their audiobook. We are building the catalog, and we are looking to showcase some audiobook from French authors to our readers. So I know there is a cost, of course. I mean, it's definitely more costly to produce an audiobook than an ebook. But I hope that the production cost will maybe be more. The more the market is growing, probably there will be also more opportunities for authors to publish audiobooks. And if they are looking into publishing their audiobook, they should really email us and let us know, because we have merchandisers who are curating a list for ebooks. Others are looking for audiobooks. Others are looking for Kobo Plus. And we are talking with all those people in our geos. So it's very important for us to really know what you are publishing, which format, when, and to work with you on that.
Nice. Yeah. So that's the main thing. We need to fill our calendar. So let us know what's coming, and we can work with you. There's some questions coming in about translations and prices and things like that. And I just wanted to kind of comment that we do work with we have translation companies that we recommend. If you go to the services section of your Kobo Writing Life account, you'll see in translations that we have a kind of different offers that we have for Kobo Writing Life authors. And I think Language Plus Translations is one of the people that we recommend working with. So one thing that I didn't want to miss was just the question about genres. So whether or not it's romance or something in particular, what are you seeing that's unique to each area? So Lucia, what kind of romance, or if you're seeing like mystery thrillers being really popular, what are the readers looking for in Italy?
Oh, in Italy, talking about romance, especially contemporary romance. Actually, also historical one, also historical romance. Readers really like that genre. For example, I see that paranormal romance is less popular, but it's also true that we have less titles in that genre. So there's space for that subgenre too. And but yes, for sure, contemporary romance is the best one in terms of
And what about
sales, of
shorter
course.
books? There was a question there, like books that are readable in less than an hour. Do you see an increase of that, or do we find that most of our customers are kind of looking for longer serialized books?
In general, in Italy, short books, short stories, for example, is not a genre that is very popular and searched. But what I see is that always talking about romance, romance readers are avid readers, and they don't really look at the length of the book. So both long books and short books perform very well.
Nice, thank you. And Cami, what are you seeing in terms of subgenre in France? Because romance is something that's so popular, and we were talking this morning about the feel-good stuff.
Yeah, it's true that feel good, which is not exactly romance in terms that. So I feel like it's very specific to the French market. There has been a strong trend with this, what we call feel good books, and that's the term that is used even in the French press. It's just that the characters, there might be some love story during the book, but it's not the main point of the whole story. The main point is really for the characters. Sometimes they are facing really hard things in their lives. It can be a divorce, a disease, even losing someone very dear. But they will always encounter other people, and they will somehow join their forces or just share something at some moment that will help. They will help each other. So it's not love at first sight like in any good romance. But feel good is very strong. We've been seeing a lot of this good. I think we have Arnaud Lecartier, who is following us on Facebook, who is a French author I met through what we used to do during the FNAC fair in that long time where we could still do real life events. And Arnaud had this book called Le Bigorneau Amoureux, which enters under this category of feel good. It's really a book where the characters gets transformed in the obstacles that they meet during life, and they discover something about themselves that will help them just enter to the next phase of their life. And Arnaud's title, Le Bigorneau Amoureux, has been so successful. We discovered it because Arnaud came and he pitched his book, and the jury loved it so much that he gained that open pitch. So he got some promo and some supporting from the Kobo Writing Life team and the merch team. And since then, we've been working very closely with Arnaud, trying to feature his title. Anytime we could see some opportunity, either in a promo or on the Kobo Writing Life page that Ruth was mentioning earlier, we've been trying really to make sure that any new reader that would come would be put in front of Arnaud's books sometime. And I don't have the latest numbers, but I think the book, I remember it passed the 4,000 readers, and then probably lost count, but this is a good example of that subgenre that is really working well. And aside that, of course, romance and contemporary romance, I think, will always remain something that our readers are looking for.
Yeah, that really shows the importance of reaching out to the team, like that you're able to do this work with that author and really help push their books and put them in front of the right people at Kobo. I think that's great. And Arnaud has been commenting and he says he's very grateful for that. Thank you for being here. And then, so Ruth, I wanted to ask you about the genres that you're seeing. Are subscription genres, like are subscription reads different than you're seeing in a la carte, or are they kind of the same?
No, I don't think they're that different. I do think the ask for volume is a bit different. You just the question you asked Lucia about, do like shorter books work as well as series? I would say it's all about creating volume. It's all about getting volume and getting those readers what they want and giving them a lot of it. But that's, I mean, I know that's more, I mean, that's very complex to say to an author, because you can't really write on volume. You have to write on whatever the story is giving you. So I know that's interesting or difficult, but and I don't think it matters. You can also read a very high volume series, but you can also read separate shorter books from the same author you like. If it's within the genre that you like, then that can be fine as well. From a subscription perspective, you get paid for the minutes that readers are consuming your books. So from that perspective, it's interesting to have a bigger book than a shorter book, or a longer book than a shorter book. But genres, no, I don't see that many different. I think a la carte, it's just, we see it's more the usual suspects, like the bestsellers, like from the conventional publishers that you have to compete with more than in subscription. So in subscription, I think it's more heavy on the romance, and I do see a lot of feel good here as well. I think especially last year, it just struck me how much people read to just escape their reality. And I don't necessarily feel that they want to have fantasy for that. I feel that they want to have a reality that might be, or a different reality, which might be realistic, but it's not at the moment for them. So either it's somewhere else in the world, or whether it's a more sexy fantasy, or just, I think they really want to have that entertainment of this whole new world where they can escape in. And I see that it's mainly romance. I do see we have an amazing co-writing life Dutch author who's called Sanne van Ooyen, who has a series which is performing insanely well, which he describes as dark romance. So it's romance with a bit of a dark feeling to it, and people are loving it. So that's very interesting to see. But also the feel-good books that Camille is describing, I see those performing well here as well. And I feel, especially feel-good books that are focused on very sort of local, small places, are very popular somehow. So, and whether that is somewhere in the Netherlands that people really like, or somewhere in Scandinavia, or somewhere in America, but people like to read stories about these really small communities, it seems. I feel that is very popular at the moment. But just in general, I think it's very, very, very the same. It's largely romance, and I think it's very broad in those genres as well. I think if you know to find the right angle and to find the right tone, then people just love it.
I think if any year has taught us about the need that we have to feel good, it is 2020. So it's good to see that that's reflected in what the readers are wanting all throughout Europe. So we're coming down to the last couple of minutes here, and I wanted to ask all of you guys, this hour really flew by. Well, number one, will you please come back? And I just wanted to ask kind of like a final question, like, what are you excited about for 2021 for each country that you're working on, and where do you see kind of indie growing? So Lucia, we'll start with you. What are you excited for next year for Kobo and Kobo Writing Life?
I'm excited for new opportunities that we will give to authors, and that will give a great chance for discoverability. And also I'm excited because we will work more on contents on our side, so newsletter and blog posts and so on. For example, talking about the blog, the Italian blog that we have just restarted, we are very interested in publishing interviews with good authors who have a story to tell, and in different genres again. So if there are non-Italian authors who want to tell their stories and who think that they will publish their books in Italian next year, please again reach out to me, because it will be a great pleasure to talk to them and to follow up on their stories on our blog as well. And yes, I'm excited because I think that we will have great opportunities to grow our Kobo Writing Life Italian catalog, and to especially give important opportunities to authors.
Nice. That's a great point. Yeah, if you have something that you'd like to write for any of the blogs that we have in Italian, French, or Dutch, please reach out. We would love to learn more about that. And Cami, what are you excited about next year? Where do you see things going? You had a great year in France, so we've gotta keep the momentum.
Yeah, we had a great year. I'm definitely looking to keep the momentum going, both for a la carte, but also for Kobo Plus when we will go there, and also audiobook, because I think we have a great opportunity for audiobook too. I know our French merchandiser is looking to feature more both ebooks and audiobooks to our global French audience. Now we have a team that is really dedicated to what we call global French. So it's the readers in France, in Belgium, in Switzerland, in Quebec, plus the islands, what we call les Antilles. Anyone that has their Kobo Writing Life map on their screen can visualize, but so we were just looking to having more of these dots everywhere for your French titles. And that's something that I want to focus on, definitely. Plus, the third thing is that we've been doing the results we've seen. Some of those came from the promotions we've had this year, and I hope next year we can offer more of these opportunities to our authors on our global French markets.
Yeah, that's exciting. It's going to be great to see Kobo Writing Life authors have more and more opportunities for promotions throughout the world. And Leon has asked how will he know or how will they know about my sales in French or Dutch. So the map that Camille is referring to, you'll be able to see it on your Kobo Writing Life dashboard. So if you are on Twitter and you search the hashtag KWL map, you can see when authors have shared them with us. So I think we really love seeing that. So if you have one to share, throw it our way. That kind of is just a feel good thing. And also, Camille, I think that's a great point as well for the authors to really consider not just France being French. There are so many other French speaking areas, and that is the same with different, like we haven't even touched on like Spanish or anything like that. An hour is not enough to talk about all the things that we could talk about. So Ruth, I'm going to have the last question for you. What are you excited about for 2021 for Kobo and for Kobo Writing Life? And we haven't even talked about Kobo Originals either. So gonna have to bring you back.
I know. Well, some other time. Well, I'm excited. I mean, just to grow, to find more authors in general who are excited about digital self-publishing, to help get it to a more professional level here in the Netherlands. And I would love to be in more direct contact with any authors abroad who want to publish in the Netherlands, to help them reach the audience here as well. And we haven't really talked about it, but for the original content program there are really exciting opportunities to work with Kobo Writing Life authors who sometimes write something exclusively for our Kobo Original program, and that's very exciting as well. So I'm very, very excited to do that next year as well. But let's talk about that in the future.
It's a good teaser, just lining it up to get people back. Nice. All right. Well, thank you guys very much for joining us. And thanks everyone for the great questions and the kind of interaction that we're seeing there. If you felt that there was anything that wasn't answered, please email us and we'll let you know directly. And really appreciate you guys spending the time with us. So thanks very much. Oh, and I forgot. I was going to say hello to you guys in all of your languages and I forgot. So now I don't know how to say goodbye. So hold on. It's like
Sarah.
I know it. So we have au revoir. Is I was laughing that hello in Dutch is hello. So is goodbye just bye?
Doei. Dag.
Ciao, ciao.
Doei. Okay, and Italian.
Ciao.
Ciao. Okay.
Simply.
I dropped the ball on
Buonasera.
that one. Sorry, guys.
Thanks for having us.
All right.
That
Bye,
was-
everyone.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's
Thank
been a
you.
pleasure.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.